Good afternoon everyone, I hope you're doing fantastic. In this video what I'm going to be demonstrating or talking about is two things that actually stop you from getting clients, and I see this time and time again. So if you watch the whole of this video, I'm going to address and show you pretty much the best way to do research to find either you're in the wrong niche or you're not doing the right volume. So in terms of picking a niche, what we're going to look at is why or how certain job titles or certain positions don't actually need recruitment agencies or has a demand for it. We're also going to look at what other recruitment agencies are actually recruiting for, because they would have already done the business development and won the clients. So if a client is using them for that particular skill in that particular location, we can look at that. So it's going to be slightly in depth, and then we're going to look at what type of volume you have to do for each of these sectors. So we're going to give you, or I'm going to give you, the exact way I research. Yeah, and it comes down to experience, but there's some metrics we can look at, and you can just follow these steps and you're going to know exactly what I look at. So I've done some research in terms of many sectors, and I coach a lot of people. You're free to book a coaching call with me if you need help winning business, etc. The link is in the description. So I'm going to touch on two things. So there's either 3 points. So let's say a position like customer service doesn't have a great deal of need for recruitment agencies because the people are naturally it's you post an advert and people apply and you can screen them from there. So naturally it's HR, it's internal recruiter's job. Now if you've got a position like a JavaScript developer, which I always use because I've recruited for them in the past, they're absolutely terrible to find, you're going to struggle with that. Yeah, companies will struggle with that. So if you put yourself in the client's shoes and they've got a customer service, are we going to outsource that role to an agency? No. If you don't know from experience, like I've got experience in multi sectors, if you want to just know for a fact, let's look at some metrics on here. So if we scroll over and we see a ratio of 10,000 to around 2,500, what you don't want to see is that sort of level. Now that means there isn't really a demand. Sure, there is staffing agencies recruiting for this. They are going to be picking up vacancies, but the likelihood of you going into the market and picking up vacancies will require you to do probably 5 times as much work, which isn't really, I would say, that efficient when starting an agency or just trying to build a desk or win business. So if you were looking at that and those numbers, we're going to look through a few examples. What I would say with that is the employer ratio has to be probably around 60 to 80%, regardless of if there are staffing agencies or how high the numbers are. So if it's 10,000, what I'd want to see here is about 60 to about 85% ratio. So I would want 6,000 to about 8,500. Anything higher than that means it's too saturated. There's too many recruitment agencies. It means that people are really struggling to fill these positions and they're just saying yes to a lot of agencies. And then the agencies are just not finding the people because there's too much out there. I'll give you an example like a doctor, a nurse, some developer positions. They're very difficult unless you're really established. So if you are new building a desk, this isn't really going to be the perfect position. So if we look at customer service as an example, I would say if you're looking to start recruiting for customer service people, probably not a great sector. Now there are other ones. So if we look at, I don't know, business development. So we look at business development manager, which is a sales position. That's a sort of better ratio, I would say. It's a much higher number. The gap is much smaller. You kind of want it, if it's equal, I would still go for it. But business development, I'm looking at, look, there's 2,000 out there and there's probably about 1,000 staffing agencies. Now don't forget, one employer might work with 3 staffing agencies. So that's the importance of the ratio. So if you emailed or called everyone on this list, the likelihood of someone giving you business because there's 1,000 agencies out there might be a 10% ratio. So you're going to have to make 2,000 outreaches at some point to get 10 clients. That would be what I would looking at with that. So I'll give you another example. We can look at registered nurses, and then we can look at developers, and then we're going to look at agencies in 3 of those sectors. And that's a really kind of good ratio in a sense. This might not pick up correctly, so I might just pick title in here. and then the brackets, and let's see if that makes a difference. So as you can see, it's picked up a much clearer result. So I know for a fact in this sector it's really difficult. So that's not what you want to see. That will make it really difficult. You know, it's 900 to 600 ratios or 700, whatever. That means it's quite saturated. Yeah. Let's look at another example from that as well. So Java. Let's just search Java. So Java developers. And again, same ratio, it's higher on the staffing agency side. I mean, this isn't a bulletproof metric, but I could look at this. If I'm like, look, I want to start recruiting for this, oh, it's going to be tough. Manage your expectations, you need to know, great, that's perfect, yeah? So again, using those 4 examples, we can look at customer service, vacancies, yeah? Or let's look at customer service, recruitment agencies. And then it's probably going to be the big companies, because I haven't actually looked at this. Let's see if actually some organic results. So Tate, call center recruitment. I mean, these are companies I've never heard of, so I can't imagine they're going to be large in scope or size. And I just want to look at their jobs. So if you're in any sector, I mean, they're saying they're customer service, but they're looking at team leader roles, furniture brand. Where is that? Twickenham. Like, then there's a language element which I often recruit for. So it's like there's no customer service job. There's 1 or 2, but I would say 80% of these 15 jobs are Welsh speaking customer service. Then again, it's a language element. We look at a few more. I mean, this is a terrible website. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Again, they came up in an organic search for customer service, and then there's no customer service jobs. Obviously, I haven't done a fantastic search. This is one that showed up loaded so slow, so I'm not hopeful about these guys. It just has sector. Chances are this is someone I coach, and I'm giving him a bad name, but no, I have heard. I'm sure I've heard of these guys. 2017, so they've been around a while. I think I've gone on their website before coaching someone, but again, we've got a coordinator position here, and the rest are sort of that. So that's an example. So we can look at now JavaScript developers, Java recruitment agency, and then we can look at that. And then I'm going to give you the sort of volume you need to do for each one. Consortium. And again, I mean, things that are coming up are, let's close these. And then we want to see, because they're coming up in the search, are they actually, you know, JavaScript developers? So these guys are obviously heavy on the sort of JavaScript. So it's clear that they pick up a lot of roles, but how quickly are they filling them? So that's the sort of balance you need to get right when recruiting in this sector. Again, we can look at these guys. Lots of positions, all around the same sort of salary. These guys look like they're specified. As that's really, really good because they're a really niche agency. Again, we're looking at sort of Java. So that gives you an example. You can always go on their website if you're looking for, oh, I mean, Capita is a massive name. So if you're looking at these guys, yeah, and you want to know how to win business, great. They're picking up a lot of JavaScript roles and also product manager roles, data engineers. Look at the ratios that are highest. So it's clearly in the developer space is where they're getting a lot of jobs. So if you want to break into that market or you have candidates, look on other companies. If I was looking at languages, I don't need to do research because these guys have gone to market already and they're cold calling for you. Most of their positions are in JavaScript, Ruby on Rails. That's it. Some .NET, but .NET is a smaller need. I think that'll grow over time. And then it's Python. So if you're saying, look, I want to be a Java developer or recruiter, it's a small number. Yeah, and always look at the market leaders. I would look at 3 or 4 of them. Go on there. If you're looking at sort of user experience, again, it's small number. Product design is UX, UI. So again, they've done your research for you. You can go back to here, and let's say we pick one out. So let's say it's Ruby. I don't know what's going to come out Ruby on Rails, but so again, it's a high number. But then again, you can sort of see that there's only a small number of jobs in the market. Python. again, it's even higher. So it's like that's even a harder language. I'd be curious to see what sort of ratio is on JavaScript. Yeah, it's one of the harder languages to recruit for. It's the most in demand. So let's say you've chosen your sector, you've picked out some job titles, you've gone on other agencies. What do you do? What do you need to do? So I expect, depending on this role, I mean, would I advise someone to start with developers? Unless you said to me, look, I got 30 developers that were ready to work for me, I would say no. Yeah. But if you said to me, look, I've got people that are willing to work, go for it all day long. Yeah. But this sector is actually quite small. Most people do not post these jobs on Indeed as well. Now, the reason they don't post is because no one applies. So it's just a pure waste of time. So the only people that are, posting jobs, I think there's probably about, I would say 3 to 5,000 JavaScript jobs out there. They might use another job board, but really and truly they're going to outsource it to recruitment agencies before even posting it, because they know the deal. They're not going to find that much, yeah? So if you go onto sort of a nurse, I mean, I should search registered nurse, but nurse, again, this will pick up like dental nurse, which isn't that difficult to fill. Nursery assistants, again, it's a kind of, that's an okay-ish ratio, but then it's not good. So let's search nursery, because then nursery might give a better sort of example. So that's a nice example. I think this is a good sector, sort of nursery practitioners, room leaders. People often get quite good. I think I've got one client that's a nursery practitioner. They need about 3. So employers to staffing agencies, that's what you want to see, that kind of 60-70% ratio. From half to the same amount is what you want to do. If that's an easier rule. And then you can say, okay, great, let's look at nursery recruitment agencies. So nursery recruitment agencies, yeah. And then again, we found a sector, and we're going to look at other recruitment agencies. What do they have on? How are they sort of looking, or where are most of their jobs? Because they're going to tell you the market size, yeah, just by looking on their website. And then again, let's see what else they're recruiting for. So looking at your competition, doing your market research, this is what I help people with, yeah. And well, do you have any jobs on your website? Come on now, search for jobs. So look, we've got early years practitioner, room leader. These are the ones that come up quite often, yeah. And if you want to be fancy about it, you can just business develop it in that area. So, in Surrey, call up, email. These are going to be the ones that give it. So it's clear that early years practitioners, room leaders are the hot job title at the moment. I think they're just posting loads of jobs. But I think these guys are quite big, actually, saying that. But yeah, let's look at one more so we can get a good idea. So I'm looking at this ratio. So judging by the sort of ratio there, I mean, I'm surprised at how slow some of these websites are. Deputy nursery manager, nursery practitioner. So I would look, nursery practitioner, early years practitioner, or room leader, just based on this short 10-minute looking at, 10-minute video, sorry. So I would go here and I would search in nursery practitioner. Yeah, and I may have a look at that in the title sense. So this does look pretty difficult because that number came up pretty high. So I might search. Actually, that's much better. In fact, perfect. So nursery practitioner, again, we've got loads of positions come up in sense of that. So what would be the idea if you emailed all 400 of these employees? Some of them will be duplicates, to check if there's going to be a lot of duplicates. Click company, and you can see these guys are posting quite a few jobs, yeah. Often or not, half of them are using recruitment agencies. Probably 10% of them are willing to engage with you. So off of that, if you emailed 400, you would get probably 4 engagements, I would say. So you need another job title, yeah. So I would search room leader as well. So email all of those, yeah. And so that's 400, and we search room leader, which is another one. 200 come up. That seems a bit high, but if you're in the space, cool. So if we just search nursery as a whole, I would still email those ones because they're in the same sector. But then again, 1500, if you plus that with the 400, what you'll be looking at, probably, I would guess, probably about 6 clients from that. If you sent those 4,000, like, they'll give you jobs, it'll be successful. You'll probably have to speak to 20 clients or email about 20 clients backwards and forwards, arranging calls, and it may or may not work out. So I think that's probably the best way to go about it. If you have any questions about this method, it's just a simple way of why people can't win clients, because they don't do the research before. They don't come, to myself, book a call, I'll give you the advice. This will save you a lot of headache. And I hope you really, really enjoyed this video, because I enjoyed making it, in a sense, sharing the knowledge and the sort of method to the madness. So there isn't a system. It gives you a better shot at actually winning clients, because this is where the market is in demand. I had people that tried about 4 or 5 sectors before they actually listened to me or booked a call, and then they realized, okay, great, this is the sector for me. And that's what you want to go down. You don't want to start off recruiting for really hard positions. You can work your way up there. Yeah, you can end up with, okay, great, now I'm recruiting for developers because I've got so many adverts out. People are coming to me organically because we've got some branding. Don't look at companies and think, oh, they're recruiting for JavaScript developers, it must be really big money. No, these guys spend thousands and thousands on marketing, on staff, PR agencies. That's what you want to do and get at. So get to that stage later on, start off early. This is probably the most user friendly, beginner friendly method you can use to do market research, and it takes 10-20 minutes. Play about with it, see what comes up, and if you enjoyed the video, please like it, and speak to you all soon. Take care.